What's up, guys? Dan here for BladeReviews.com. I've got a cold steel Bushman on the table and I am ready to give my review. I've had this knife for a while. I've used it quite a bit. I'm not what you would call a serious outdoorsman or survivalist or anything like that, but I've got a pretty nice sized backyard. Got a bunch of wood seasoning out there. I like to have campfires and bonfires and stuff like that, so I took this thing out there a couple times, played around with its chopping capabilities, its batoning capabilities, did some carving, you know, just all the standard stuff that you would typically do with a knife like this. It is, as you can see, a large outdoors knife, survival knife. The cool thing about this one is it's got a hollow handle, doubles as a spear, and it's made from one solid piece of steel. So real quick specs. The overall length of this knife is 12 1/4 inches. It's got a 7-inch blade and a weight of 10 ounces. So pretty nice sized knife for the weight. The steel on this thing, since it's, like I said, made of one piece of steel, the steel is SK5, which is a proprietary steel that Cold Steel uses. It is a high carbon steel. My research and personal experiences have shown that it is similar to 1080 high carbon. So, and 1080 is a good steel. It's a tough steel. It's kind of a softer steel. I believe it's a little softer than 1095. And this is a very soft steel too. Cold Steel heat treats this to 54 HRC, and they do that on purpose because this is a survival knife. And the logic behind that is that it will resist chipping. If you were to heat treat this to like 60 or 62, the chances of it developing some big chips or perhaps even shattering on you, breaking right in half, becomes much higher. So they kept it soft, and that makes it not only resistant to chipping but very easy to sharpen. This thing sharpens up real fast on my strop. Typically after working with wood for a couple hours or a session, whatever, it's still pretty sharp, but I like to just hit it on the strop real quick and it comes back 100% like nothing else. So very easy steel to sharpen and pretty tough. My only issue with the steel on this knife after my most recent session is I've noticed, and it's gonna be hard to see here, but the blade, the edge portion has kind of bowed out a little bit. It's bent slightly, and that is a little troubling. But knife still cuts, edge is still good. I'm just gonna have to watch this a little more and keep using it. But aside from that, it's held up pretty well. Again, it's for 20 bucks. I'm not really expecting the world from it, but one of my favorite things about this was that the steel is actually pretty decent. So slightly troubling to see that bowing out. I don't know, I can't put my finger on what exactly I did to this thing to do that, but it is what it is, guys. Bows out a little bit under hard use in my experience here. So, but hopefully that won't happen to you. Let's talk about the blade a little bit. You've actually got two choices of blade shape. Shown here, I've got the clip point version, the buoy version. They also make one that is just completely flat all the way across. And if I were to go back and do this purchase over again, honestly, I probably would have gone for that flat top version. Why? Well, because I've been using this just as like a survival knife, and using it to process a lot of wood, a lot of batoning and stuff, and I don't really need this point. And I feel like it would probably baton through some hardwoods a little bit better with just less surface, excuse me, a little less surface area. So, but this is it's got a nice little swedge on the top. So if you're going to use this as a spear or use the penetration abilities of this knife, you might want to go for the clip point. It's just, think about that perhaps. The whole entire knife has been given a flat black powder coating, and the coating's actually pretty good. As you can see, it's held up pretty well. You're going to start to develop some wear here. No surprise, and this wear will only continue, but it's not the cheapest coating I've experienced, and for that I am thankful. The handle on this thing is pretty solid and pretty simple. Like I said, it's hollow. It actually is fairly comfortable. You can get a good grip on it. There really isn't much in terms of grip though. I mean, that's pretty obvious. It does include a lanyard hole, and this hole is also used If you're going to convert this into a spear, you know, you're going to want to put a nail or something in there. My advice would be to try and wrap this with something, be it a little bit of cordage or some athletic tape or just something to give you a little more grip, and to maybe use that lanyard hole if you're going to be doing some serious chopping, because you don't want to get this knife away from you. But all in all, I like the handle, very strong. And that pretty much covers the knife. Let's take a quick look at this sheath here. I don't want this to run too long. It's just a simple Cordura sheath. It's reinforced with something's in here, I'm not sure what. Further reinforced with plastic, riveted together, single stitching. Fairly rugged, I guess. You know, again, $20 knife, and it includes a sheath. It's got this large pocket, and this material may even be kind of waterproof, which is cool. I would put a little sharpening stone in there, maybe a small strop and a fire steel. That would go a long way, I feel. As far as mounting options go, really all you've got is just this belt loop here, so you don't get a lot of mounting options. Again, that's the price of the knife. My biggest complaint, my biggest issue is just the lack of a meaningful retention system here. There's no retention strap or anything. There's no real retention in the sheath. If you're running around, I'm concerned that this thing might get loose, might fall off, you might lose it, you might cut yourself. If you fall, you know, I would just hate to see that happen. So that's my biggest issue with it. But I guess if you're just playing around with it in your backyard or just using it occasionally, like I am, it's not going to be a big problem. So that's pretty much the review. All in all, I like the knife. It's a decent steel. The price is right. I could see this being a good knife for a bug out bag on the budget, since it's portable, lightweight, sharp. You know, you get the picture. I think it could work well for something like that. Great knife to have up in the cabin or something if you just need to keep some tools around and you don't want to leave your fancy stuff. Great little beat around the yard blade too. So I've enjoyed having it, and I'll be keeping it in the rotation. So since it's so cheap, you know, why not? All in all, I don't really think you can go wrong with it. So check it out if you like it. If you've been on the fence, you've got my permission to get it, guys. I think it's a decent knife. So that's the review. Thanks so much for watching. This is Dan signing out.